Hello, everybody. This is recap for UFC 219. Usually, as you guys know, my subscribers would know that if when there's an UFC event, I usually make UFC reaction videos. But this time, I did film UFC reaction videos, but the fights were so boring that I decided there were no any moments. I mean, there were some moments, but nothing really happened. So I felt like if I do make a reaction video, it's gonna be hard for me to make the UFC reaction video because it's so boring, and it would be so boring for you to watch it. So I just decided. I mean, there are some things to talk about the UFC 219, so I just decided let's just make a UFC 219 recap video. So here we go. So 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 UFC 219. It had some good fights. I mean, on paper, very, very good fights. Carlos Condit versus Neil Magny. I thought Carlos Condit was gonna win this fight. I thought Carlos Condit was gonna knock Neil Magny out, but Neil Magny was better at wrestling, and Carlos Condit has hard time if he fights some fighters who have better wrestling. So basically, he got out grappled, and even in the on the feed, he wasn't doing so great. I thought he was gonna just kill Magny on the feed, but he couldn't do much about it. I mean, I also filmed this reaction, but nothing really happened, so I deleted it right away. And then the big fight, Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Edson Barboza. Khabib Nurmagomedov did make weight for this fight, so I was excited for it. My ideal scenario of this fight was Khabib Nurmagomedov mauling Edson Barboza really hard, or Khabib Nurmagomedov having hard time taking Barboza down and Barboza knocking Khabib Nurmagomedov out. I mean, it was a good fight. It was a good fight. Edson Barboza showed how tough he was, how tough he is. Khabib Nurmagomedov showed how strong he is, and Edson Barboza threw some huge spinning back kick to the face, spinning heel kick or back kick to the face, and surprisingly, Khabib Nurmagomedov took it like a champ. And other than that, except for Khabib Nurmagomedov mauling Edson Barboza, nothing really happened. And to be honest, I want to be honest. Like, there's gonna be some people or many people that's gonna be disappointed or gonna be hate on me saying this, but this fight was kind of boring. Okay, I'm not saying wrestling is boring. Like if like Cain Velasquez versus Junior Dos Santos 2 and 3. Cain Velasquez mauled Junior Dos Santos, but that was fun to watch. But this one was kind of boring. Cain Velasquez mauling Junior Dos Santos, it felt like they were still fighting. He was punching him, and there were a lot of activity. I mean, of course, in this fight, Khabib Nurmagomedov showed a lot of activity, and he showed how good he is in the wrestling department. But still, it was kind of boring. I hoped someone would get knocked out. I hope if Khabib Nurmagomedov was gonna win this fight, I wanted him to just maul Edson Barboza and finish him. But he didn't finish him. He says he could have finished him, but he wanted to have 15 minutes in the octagon. But I mean, for Edson Barboza, if he was gonna win, I wanted him to win by knockout, but that didn't happen, and that was kind of boring. So, but it is what it is. But good performance by Habib Nurmagomedov. I'm not saying he had a bad performance. Both guys, Edson Barboza showed true heart. Habib Nurmagomedov showed how skilled and strong he is. So he deserves a title shot. Definitely, he deserves a title shot. The only thing he has to be careful of just making weight. If he makes weight, he's perfect. So now he seems like he has a new nutritionist, and he didn't have any problem making weight this time. So if he keeps on doing well, making weight, I think he's gonna be perfect in the future. I think he's gonna be able to fight Conor or Tony Ferguson. I hope he fights Conor McGregor. I want to see if Conor McGregor can defend some of his takedowns. I know that he's gonna get taken down by Habib Nurmagomedov, but I want to see if Conor McGregor, the God Conor McGregor, if he can defend some of them and hurt Habib Nurmagomedov and knock him out. So that's gonna be a good fight. So the main event, Chris Cyborg versus Holly Holm. I thought that if Chris Cyborg was gonna win, if it's gonna be by punch, and I thought if Holly Holm was gonna win, it's gonna be by head kick, and finish didn't happen, which is kind of surprising. And Holly Holm did much better than I thought she was gonna be able to do. I thought like if especially in the clinch. Before the fight, I was thinking if they get into clinch, I think Chris Cyborg is gonna be too strong for her. But Holly Holm seemed like she was as strong, if not stronger, than Chris Cyborg in the clinch, which was very astounding. And I was so impressed by Holly Holm's strength. But the thing is, Holly Holm doesn't have too much of a great power in her hands, and the only chance she had was a high head kick. And she did land many head kicks, but it didn't really land on Chris Cyborg. It did land on Chris Cyborg, but on her hands. So, to be honest, my personal opinion is I thought Holly Holm won the fight. I thought Holly Holm won the first round, second round, third round, fourth round, and lost the fifth round. Because, I mean, of course, Chris Cyborg landed much harder shots on Holly Holm. I mean, when you look at Holly Holm's face, her left side of her face is all fucked up. But I think Holly Holm was better. She was controlling the clinch. I mean, the significant strikes landed. The stats say that Chris Cyborg landed more, but I felt like as I was watching the fight, I felt like Holly Holm won the fight. If I was rooting for Chris Cyborg after the fight, I would have been kind of worried because Holly Holm was doing so good. But the thing was, as you see in my video thumbnail, I was yawning. Sometimes when Chris Cyborg connected on Holly Holm, I was like, oh, what the fuck? But most of the times, I mean, the first and second round, I was like, holy shit, this is more competitive than I thought it would be. And then as the round went by, I was like, this is kind of boring. And I started yawning. And at round 3 or 4, I was like, I started feeling, when is this fight gonna end? Which means I was so bored. And this statement could potentially get me a lot of haters for saying this. But I'm an honest guy. So I'm just gonna say that this fight was boring. I don't think I'm gonna go back and watch this fight again and again and again. I think this fight card was, I mean, on paper this fight card was already boring. To be honest, to be honest, this fight card was boring. And after the fight, this is more boring than I expected it would be, which is heartbreaking. As a UFC fan, you guys know that I'm a huge, hardcore UFC fan. As a fan of UFC, I'm heartbroken that UFC 219 was boring as fuck. But the thing is, next week, there's gonna be Do Ho Choi versus Jeremy Stevens, which is barn burners. But unfortunately, as I am a soldier, so that event is on Sunday, which means it's on Monday for South Korea, and on Monday I have to go back to the military base and do my job. So I cannot watch it live, but I will watch it after 5 p.m. I don't think I'm gonna be able to make UFC reaction video for that. That would be a good fight for UFC reaction video, but unfortunately I can't do it. But the next, but UFC 220 is gold. Is UFC 220. UFC 220 is gold. Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou. Obviously, I don't know who's gonna win this fight. I'd be worried if I was rooting for Stipe Miocic. I would be very worried because Francis Ngannou hits hard. He is the hardest puncher in the world, and he is strong as fuck. If I was rooting for Stipe Miocic, I would be really terrified that Francis Ngannou is gonna knock him out. But if I was also Francis Ngannou's, if I was in his corner, I would be kind of terrified also because Stipe Miocic is also a monster. If he hits you, you get hurt. If he hits you again, you get knocked out. I mean, now there's all this hype about Francis Ngannou having crazy knockout power. I mean, of course he hits harder than Stipe Miocic, but Stipe Miocic hits hard as well. So the first one that's gonna connect is potentially gonna win this fight, I think. And I'm gonna make another video about who I think is gonna win again between Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou. So stay tuned for that. And Daniel Cormier versus Volkan Oezdemir. This is another interesting fight. I mean, this kind of fight card is the fight card that I want for pay-per-view. Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou. Holy shit. Daniel Cormier versus Volkan Oezdemir. Holy fuck. The rest of the card seems a bit boring, but still, at least there should be two good fights that really get me pumped. But UFC 219 was a huge letdown. On paper, it wasn't that exciting. After it really happened, it was more disappointing. So it is what it is. I mean, maybe it's just me. Maybe you enjoyed the fight. Maybe you enjoyed Khabib Nurmagomedov mauling Edson Barboza. But for me, it was disappointing and it was kind of boring. So leave a comment down below of what you think. Thanks for watching the video. Goodbye.